Hey everyone, it's Kim and welcome back to Bookmarks and Breadsticks. Welcome back to Bookmarks and Breadsticks. It's August 20th. It's not August. Whoa. Sorry. It's April 22nd and I still need to read my monthly book from my Unwrap my TBR pile. You can't see it, kind of, it's right here, but from floor to ceiling I have wrapped books that represent the books I bought in 2020 and 2021 and a little bit of 2019. And every month I pick one off the shelf to unwrap and read and vlog with you. Dan is still sleeping, it's still morning, so usually I have him pick a number between 1 and 3. He's not here. I picked 3 books. I have no hints on these. This one just says Christmas. This one just says ST, which is special topic, and it's floppy. And then this one's a hardcover. So I'm gonna pick, I think this one. Ooh, cool. This is The Fruit Hunters, The Story of Nature, Adventure, Commerce, and Obsession by Adam Leith Gallner. This is also apparently now a feature-length documentary, which is pretty exciting. This book comes in, let's see, 270 pages, and it was written in what world? In our world, sorry. What year? 2008. So it's from 2008. I'm interested. I love this cover. I'm actually really excited to read this. I think I want to maybe watch the documentary when I'm done too. It is a New York Times Book Review Editor's Choice pick. So let's see, where did I pick this up? This is from Simon & Schuster, and I picked it up at Open Books for $6. I know Earth Day already passed. I'm late to the Earth Day party, the Earth Day content, but I do want to remind you guys that one way to help support the planet is to actually buy used books. Buy used books and keep them out of landfills. There is like basically nothing wrong with this book. It looks brand new and maybe a little scuffing on the spine. I have words, the spine, and I got it for $6 instead of $18 full price. So let's go ahead and get started. I will pop back in a little bit. Oh, who is Adam Leith Gallner? He has written for the New York Times, Gourmet, Bon Appetit, Food and Wine, Saveur, and Lucky Peach. If you don't know what Lucky Peach is now the defunct magazine that David Chang of the Momofuku Empire used to run. He is the former editor of Vice magazine. His newest work include The Book of Immortality, The Science, Belief, and the Magic Behind Living Forever. Interesting. I am super excited. I'll be back in a little bit. Bye. So it's Kim, and I'm back with my first check-in. I am through part 1 of The Fruit Hunters. I'm actually a chapter into part 2. So part 1, what was part 1 officially called? Part 1, nature. Really original upfront area. And it really was more about, I'd say, fruit in the context of the world, mythology, what it was used for during like ancient times, its role in symbolism. It also lays the groundwork for it also lays the groundwork for Adam Gallner and like his trips that he's on that suddenly really make fruit magical for him. And I was reading through this, and he's trying durian, which is one of the probably stinkiest fruits, or the most controversial. I know certain people really love it, other people don't love it because it does smell bad. And it made me wonder why I haven't tried as many fruits as I could, because I do I live in Buffalo, New York, so I don't live in like the mecca of all fruits, but I do have an Asian grocery store and a couple other specialty grocery stores where I know you can buy things like dragon fruits and things like that. And I always wonder, like, well, why did I never try these? Like, I definitely have never tried a dragon fruit. I don't think I've ever actually had a pomegranate. I've had pomegranate juice and seeds, but like, I've never just bought a pomegranate. I don't even know if I've ever actually bought a mango, now that I think about it. And I'm kind of wondering why I never decided to do that, because they sound delicious. And a lot of times I've eaten them in smoothies or sorbets or in other applications, but I don't know the last time I just went and bought a fruit I've never tried before. which made me really excited and kind of curious to do it. Right now, hell. So right now I'm in the second part, and it's, what I really like about the author is he's started to have these, like, he's getting into the fandom, if you will. I guess fruit explorers are they're just their own kind of really unique people that travel the world looking for exotic fruits, and it's, I guess, kind of insane. They're a little cultish, if you will. And this part 2, is all about adventure, and this is the part that I really like about the book. So there's 4 parts. There's nature, adventure, commerce, and obsession. I think I'm probably going to like adventure and obsession, and I'm probably going to find the next part, commerce, interesting, because I think of like the book The Life and Times of the Banana King, but not as interesting. Like the nature part 1 has to kind of establish the ground floor, and now I'm in adventure, and I love learning about new places where you can go try these new fruits. So I'll be back with another clip. Also, the battery's gonna die, so, well, guess we're cutting this short. I'll be back later. Bye. Hey, so I'm back. It is Saturday morning. I am really just taking my time reading this book, and that's okay. I just got through part 2 of The Fruit Hunters, and this is the adventure section. There's 4 chapters altogether. Let me get the titles for you really quick, sorry. Into Borneo, the Fruitarians, the Lady Fruit, and Seedy, the Fruitleggers. Each of these could have been their own kind of like adventure episode on like a Discovery Channel kind of show. So I'm actually really excited to see the documentary, to see what parts of the book get covered on camera. My favorite, I mean, this is the section I knew I was going to vibe with the most, you know, and I'm really, really glad. And I'm kind of sad it's only part 2, because what if I don't like part 2, 3, and 4? So in this area, it really gets into like the fanatics. So the fruitarians are people who believe that you can subsist entirely on fruits, and that there's almost something like psychedelic or transcendent that's going to happen. Like you're going to like be reconnected to God if that's who you believe with, or you're going to find enlightenment if that's what you believe in. And partially, I think they're a little insane. But that's your conviction. The only reason like I've thought this was insane is I do remember an episode of House where House told these parents that they were essentially killing their child by forcing their baby to only eat fruit. So it was very nutrient deficient. So I had that weird memory going into that chapter, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. A lack of B12 was a big critical thing when you become a fruitarian. Do I think that there's a world where, I think we're supposed to eat 5 servings of fruit a day and we get 1.2 on average. So part of me is all on board for the idea of eating more fruit in general. My favorite fruits are actually, let's see, watermelons I love, very seasonal though. Fresh strawberries, like if you could pick them, awesome. And then I do love apples and bananas. I just feel like you get apples and bananas all year long, and because of the way the supply chain works, I feel kind of guilty eating apples and bananas all the time. So I do live in Western New York, and I am part of the big apple community, so I feel a little less bad about eating apples because I do know that they now come much more local, like they're within the state, they're within miles of where I live. But in general, this makes me like conflicted, because like now I really want to go buy a dragon fruit and a kumquat and like go try these things. And then another part of me is like, well, are you not contributing to like deforestation or these global supply chains that are just bad for the planet? So it's an interesting conversation to have in my brain while reading this book. The other chapter I liked that was about a large group of people were the fruitleggers, the idea of bootleggers, those who are smuggling fruits and vegetables in over the border. And part of me, it's like bittersweet, because I can understand that a large community of people smuggle fruit over the border for sentimental reasons. They've gone back to like their native country or their homeland or their family's homeland. They want to bring a piece of home back with them, and it's just not allowed because of invasive species, especially pests and bugs. But then they do get into a section of like the rich people who are like, I had this rare plant and this rare tree airlifted into my garden. I'm the only one in the US with it. And I'm like, okay, God, the hyper wealthy sometimes are just bonkers. It's crazy. But you know, I don't know. I don't have any smart justification for what people do, obviously. It is interesting to talk about how fruit is used a lot for smuggling in cocaine into the United States and into Canada. And I do understand that if we're a global economy and people are demanding fruit and they want it on their shelves all the time, these large freights are going to come in. Customs and border is not going to be able to check every single crate that gets in. So things are going to slip by back and forth. But do we want to be a world where everything is traced down to the individual piece of fruit with a barcode or something? I really don't know. That's kind of scary to me as well. So I don't really know what the solution is. And in chapters 5, he goes through Borneo, and that really felt more like it felt like travel writing in a good way. It felt like very reminiscent of Anthony Bourdain. If Anthony Bourdain was like, I'm going to walk through this jungle and now I'm in a cemetery and now I'm hallucinating and I want to try this fruit and I don't know what's going on. So I really, really like Adam Gollner's writing style. I definitely want to see if he has other future books that are in the fruit and food space. He has another one that's called The Book of Immortality, The Science and the Belief and the Magic of Living Forever, which I really feel like Live Forever, Die Trying, if you don't know his YouTube channel, which I'll link above, would really love that book. So I need to see if he's read it. But the final chapter of this section, or the final chapter I haven't touched on in this section, is The Lady Fruit. It's called Coco de Mers, and it is apparently the most sexual looking fruit of all time. And it was a really funny chapter to read. Because Adam Gollner is like, here's his little picture. Let's see if it'll focus. Like, very white, normal looking dude. He's on this exotic trip and they're like, have you heard of the lady fruit? And he's like, this is sexual, come on, like, is this an innuendo? And it's a fruit that essentially looks like, the shell looks like a woman's butt cheeks. The front of it looks like a vulva. Like, I need to see if I can actually find a picture on the internet, and if I can, I'll put it here. I'm almost like, is YouTube gonna like censor it? Like, who knows? I have no idea. It's kind of a weird thing to think about. But it was really funny, and it's a very rare fruit. There's only something like 1,300 trees left in the world, the female tree, and the other half of the population left are male trees. It can take something like 7 years for a single fruit to grow from the seed. And at one point, the inside is liquid, then it becomes almost like pudding, and that is when it's the most divine. And then the pudding solidifies almost, they call it almost like ivory. And when it falls, when this single fruit falls from this tree, it can weigh 40 pounds. And if there are multiple seeds in it, I think the record was like 100-pound fruit nut, if you will. Could you imagine like being in the woods and 100-pound seed nut, forgive me for using the wrong term, I can't remember which one it is, just comes barreling at your head? Like, you're dead. You're dead. That's insane. And this is the stuff that makes me love food writing and travel writing, because like, I didn't even know that thing existed. It's so freaking cool. And I mean, you can't taste it. It is banned. It is illegal to buy or sell the lady fruit. But if you have a lady fruit tree growing in your backyard, you are allowed to harvest the fruit and eat it, and even share it and eat it with people together, but you can't sell it. And there's like a complexity of tourism, because people come to this country to see this fruit, but the locals don't want them there because now people are poaching. It's a very small island. With very few trees, and it's borderline considered an endangered species. I think it's an at-risk category, and it was really, really interesting, and also hilarious. Like, it just hilarious. And it's funny because Adam Gollner is allowed to take a shell back to the States with him, and he gets to like security and customs, and he's so freaking nervous that they're gonna take his shell from him that he totally forgets to take out like these apples, these heritage apples he got in Paris, and he got through one gate, and then people like pull him aside, and his like heart's racing. He's like, oh my God, I'm gonna get pulled aside. They're gonna arrest me and fine me, and then they're gonna ask me what I'm doing with this very sexual looking nutshell. And they just took his apples and sent him on his way. So that was a really fun chapter, and a really fun part 2. Part 3 is commerce, which I think is going to be interesting, but part of me has read a lot about fruit commerce because of the books I read, actually in my Unwrap TBR a couple months ago, about bananas. So I think some of this might be a little bit of a refresher. And then part 4 is obsession. right now I'm at part 3 and I'm on page 143 and the book is 270 pages. So I'm about halfway through. It's about 10 in the morning. Dan just left for the gym. I normally go with him on Saturdays. It's usually my 4th workout. But I took my medicine yesterday. I take a weekly shot and like my body's just really unhappy right now. Like I feel very nauseous and queasy. I don't even want to eat anything, and I don't like lifting without food in my body. Some people can work out fasted and power lift fasted. I do not. It makes me very uncomfortable and nervous. It makes me a little dizzy. Probably oversharing, but you know, basically I have the house to myself for another hour, so I'm just going to keep reading and hopefully check back in with you when I get through part 3. It is also Independent Bookstore Day today, so we are definitely going to go hit up some bookstores locally. I'm going to vlog about that in a separate video, and I'm kind of excited to have a calm Saturday, Sunday. Next weekend, I am at a live flea market event for Read It and Eat. I'll be selling my books, my book boxes there. So this is, and then the week after that, I start traveling. So for a big national sales meeting for work. So this is kind of my last calm weekend as we move into the month of May. So I'll be back in a little bit and I'll talk to you later. Hi, so we're back. It's still Saturday. I got dressed and went back to reading. Essentially, this medicine has just really knocked me on my socks. So my whole vlog of Independent Bookstore Day kind of went out the window because I can barely move without feeling super nauseous. But I did finish part 3 of the book, which is upside down. Part 3 of the book. Part 3 was all about production. It's about the market, and officially it's called, part 3 is called Commerce. And as expected, it was probably my least favorite to date in the book. And I knew that was going to happen because a lot of it was information I already knew. Now, if you are new to the world of fruit and just global commerce and food supply chain, you'll probably find it much more interesting. But I work in food in my day-to-day job. I work in consumer product goods, so I know a lot of these ins and outs and supply chain and rules. There is a whole chapter about the miracle fruit, which was very interesting. So the miracle fruit is this little berry, and when you eat it, it has the ability to make sour things taste sweet. And the chapter really talks about why isn't this product available in the mass market in the United States, and it gets into a deeper conversation about essentially espionage and how big corporations will pay PR companies to like have smear campaigns and pay higher ups in the FDA and the USDA just to get things squashed. So this miracle fruit was originally going through the process of being considered as an additive, which is not a food, according to the FDA, and an additive is not something that can be considered generally regarded as safe, a GRAS certification. So it essentially got killed, but the strange thing is, if, according to the book, in interviews with the USDA and the FDA, it is not banned as a fruit, but nobody's selling it as a fruit. They're trying to sell it as like this miracle ingredient that'll make all of your foods taste really good. So it's a little strange because you can grow the miracle fruit in the United States, but you can't sell it as an ingredient, but it's still technically a fruit. It's a lot of loopholes, and it's the frustrations of how slow the US government can be, because the documents that ban this ingredient are from like the 1970s, and no one's been able to get it into the right room, the right meeting, to really reevaluate these kinds of things, because there's such interference with big commercial, big ag, big organizations sitting on these boards. And that directly impacts what decisions are being made. Like, for example, I think it's the director who currently sits on the board of the USDA is also the president of the American Cattle Association. So you tell me, are they going to be advocates of alternative meat proteins? No, they're going to want big cattle to survive. So I know that's not the exact scenario, because obviously that's beef and I'm talking about fruit. But that was an interesting conversation for the chapter. That was for the part of the book, excuse me. The other areas just weren't that interesting to me. And I found myself kind of flipping the pages going, are we done? Are we done? I want to be in the next section. I do think marketing, if you are new to the world of food and food marketing and the rules around it, go ahead and give it a read. There's a whole conversation about grapples, which are apples dipped in artificial grape flavoring, and it's very strange. To me, that sounds repulsive. but apparently it's like $1 million business. Conversations on crossbreeding, whether natural flavors being added to fruits and vegetables is smart versus artificial flavors. All in all, it's my least favorite, but I really liked learning about the miracle fruit. I wish there was a whole book about the miracle fruit. I feel like it showed up on an episode of Top Chef in recent years while they were traveling abroad, but that's it. Those are the moments, though, in books that pique my interest, that keep me involved in food writing, because now I'm going to go Google if there are any books about the miracle fruit. So it's not like this part of the book is a waste of time or just like terrible writing. It's not. I think Adam Goldner has proven to me time and time again he's a very good journalist. He's also a great storyteller, both in food and his travel writing experiences. I just personally, for me, it was a lot of repeat information. But anyway, I got one part left, part 4. It's only about 50 pages, and then we will be all done with this Unwrap My TBR vlog. I'll be back in a little bit. So really quick, I'm going to film this outro before I forget. I have finished The Fruit Hunters. The last part was honestly not memorable at all. Like, couldn't even tell you what I was reading as she goes to the table of contents. Preservation, The Case of the Fruit Detective, Making Contact with the Other World, and Fruitation. Or Fruitation, The Fever of Creation. The Fruit Detective, his name is like Douglas Karp. And he's like this 75 or 69-year-old guy who's white guy who self-decided he's going to call himself the Fruit Detective. And it's not that he doesn't do good work. He has like an orchard with lots of different fruits. He's trying to preserve them. But like, I wish I had the audacity to be like, you will refer to me as the Fruit Detective. All in all, I still really liked the book. I still wish that most of the book was part 2, which was just explore the world and try new fruits and tell me about all your adventures. Then Dan and I found the documentary. It's on Amazon Prime. You can rent it. And it's inspired by the book. And I'm going to use the term inspired loosely because it was really weird. It had this odd sexual tension undertone the whole time. And like, look, I get it. In the first part of the book, we talk about how...
The fruit explorer?
The Fruit Detective is the word. Dan. Get it right. Dan's like off camera playing games. We made it a half an hour into the documentary. It was very weird. Like there were parts where they were recreating historical moments. Like here's Adam and Eve in the Garden of Paradise. And you're like, really bad stage makeup. Or like, here is man before it's evolved into man. Like era of Lucy covered in really bad body, hair, stunt, costume makeup, picking a fruit. It was really uncomfortable. The intro was really pretty, like the visual of this fruit kind of like changing into all these other fruits. The music was really weird, so it was like trippy to watch it the first time, but if it was my screensaver, if people even remember what screensavers are, I don't even know if screensavers exist anymore, actually. Dan, do screensavers exist anymore?
I mean, you can get them, but I don't think there's a need for them anymore because not using CRT.
Yeah, because like your computer just turns off and goes into sleep mode. So anyway, I will end this video with the screensaver video capture footage here. This concludes another episode of Unwrapping My TBR. Will I keep this book on my shelf? I will. I really think if you have read The Food Explorer, it's all about David Fairchild, this is a great companion book for it. I also got it used at Open Books for $6. So I'm not ready to let go of it yet. Do not watch the movie. It's not worth your time. Read the book instead. And I will see you in the next one. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you made it to the end of this video, leave me a fruit emoji. And I'm going to wrap this up real quick so I stop before Dan starts screaming that he's been murdered in one of his games. Bye.